If you're a vet rider, I want to share with you a little hidden secret as to why you keep getting hurt. Let's take a look at what this could be. Hi, I'm Coach Robb. At the time of this recording, I've been a motocross specific human performance coach for 41 years. I love working with vet riders because they live in the real world of trying to balance family, work, checkbooks, and then trying to be athletic and be fast on a dirt bike. The biggest challenge that we run into is how many stresses the typical vet rider has. Let this sink in for a moment. A professional goes to bed at 10 o'clock, wakes up at 7 without an alarm, eats breakfast by 8 o'clock, is at the track by 10, rides from 10 until 12, gets a little bit to eat, takes a 2-hour nap, wakes up, has a snack, does a second workout, takes a shower, sits down, enjoys dinner, maybe watches a movie, spends some time with the family, goes back to bed at 10 o'clock. Now think about the typical vet rider. Think about what you get done between when you wake up in the morning and 12 o'clock noon. Think about how many meetings you've been in, how many problems you've solved at work, with your family, balancing the checkbook. You're trying to get to the races, you're working on bikes, you're trying to buy new bikes, you're trying to maintain new bikes. You might have a little one that rides, you're maintaining their bike, you get to the track, you're trying to get them registered, you're trying to get yourself registered, get them out at practice, yourself at practice. Now we're not complaining, we're not whining. We love what we do and we work so that we can enjoy this. But here's where you run up against a buzzsaw. This is the number one reason why you're getting hurt. By the time you get to the races on Saturday, you are carrying what we refer to as residual fatigue. Now, that may sound like common sense. Maybe it's an epiphany for you. I'm not sure. But I can promise you, after doing this for 41 years, the majority of the injuries that I hear from athletes, they always happen at the latter part of the week. I've seen people get hurt cross-training. I've seen people get hurt on Saturday and Sunday when they're riding and or racing. And they don't even take into consideration the amount of residual fatigue that they're bringing into the weekend. If you have followed me for any time, you know I'm a big fan of the Garmin heart rate monitor, and I look at the Garmin dashboard. Garmin over the last 10 years has done an impeccable job of not only giving you better metrics for performance, they've done an incredible job of giving you recovery metrics. So when we look at our athletes, we look at one of the variables is called the body battery. Our goal is to make sure that as we get towards the end of the week, you're hitting those high numbers every single day. As you get to Thursday, Friday, leading into Saturday, unfortunately, if you've got a lot of residual fatigue that's stacking up, maybe we have to adjust how hard, how long, what kind of riding should you do on Saturday or Sunday. Maybe it just requires keeping both wheels on the ground for safety purposes. I understand it may not be what you enjoy. You want to go full send mode, but this is unfortunately when we get hurt. We're tired. Our depth perception is negatively impacted. We're tired. We don't have the best body position on the bike. We're tired, so we start with really good biomechanics and they quickly falter, and then we start having other cascade of issues that put us down on the ground. When we look at the idea of your sleep, if you're not getting enough sleep during the week, you show up tired. If you don't nail your nutrition all week long, you show up undernourished. If you don't nail your hydration every day, you show up on Saturday dehydrated. And we always say as a company, I need you to show up fed, rested, and hydrated, therefore you can focus. And unfortunately for most vet riders, it's the exact opposite. They're showing up underfed, underrested, a little bit dehydrated, and now they want to go full send mode on Saturday and Sunday. Now, we don't live in a glass house. What should we do? This is where I want you to use the Garmin dashboard and adjust how hard, how far, how long, how often do you ride. Maybe you ride one 15-minute moto, and then instead of going the next round out, sit one out and give yourself a little bit more time to recover, graze on some food. I want you to not get injured. I want you to enjoy being on two wheels going fast, whether it's through the woods or on the motocross track. But we have to be realistic. If you think about all the things that you do as a vet rider, and then think about a pro rider. A pro rider flies to the races, has his own motorhome. Let that sink in for just a moment. You, on the other hand, you drive yourself to the race. Then you get to the race, you've got to do all the work on your bike. They step out of their motorhome, they walk underneath the awning, someone's working on their bike for them. You have to cook your meals, you have to prep your meals, you've got to work on your bike in between motos. Well, these people have hospitality areas, so they've got people making meals for them. They've got a full-time mechanic. We're not making an excuse, we're just putting things into perspective. And that was why I wanted to put this video together. I have seen such a staggering amount of people who get injured on the weekends, not realizing, hey, I didn't even know that I was going to get a chance to ride this week. So in addition to work and school and family and finances, what ended up happening? They went to the gym, they cross-trained. Now let's kind of create a new perspective on this situation. You've been very diligent. You've gone to the gym 3 days this week. At the beginning of the week, you did not know that you were going to get a chance to ride on Saturday. So you lifted. You did your normal strength routine on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Well, unfortunately, you lifted on Wednesday and Friday, so you carried that residual fatigue into Saturday. This is where you get bit by the rule of 48 hours. What you do on Monday, you'll feel on Wednesday. What you do on Tuesday, you'll feel on Thursday. Let's just say you're fortunate enough that you've lifted weights 3 days a week and you got 2 days of cardio in. You didn't know that you were going to get a chance to ride on Saturday. In your brain, right, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to put in a really big week in the gym. And you do. And then that opportunity shows up and you're carrying a lot of residual fatigue into the weekend, evidenced by an elevated heart rate. Body battery is not bouncing back. A poor sleep score. Not getting enough deep sleep. Too much awake time. These are all on the recovery side. Now, because we don't live in a glass house, I don't want to discourage you from getting on the motorcycle, but what I do want to encourage you to do is tailor your weekend ride based on what you're bringing to the, literally, what body are you bringing to the table? Who's showing up on Saturday morning? And feel free to adjust it accordingly, because the best day in the world is going out and riding with friends and family. What's even more enjoyable is going home. Not going home in an ambulance, not going home or going to the hospital before you go home. I don't want to be Debbie Downer. I'm just sharing with you my experiences. And this is how we're able to get our vet riders up to another notch, whether it's to ride consistently or whether it's to win a national championship. This is at the epicenter of getting them better week over week, month over month, year over year. I can't thank you guys enough for watching. I hope you found this information helpful. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And if you're not comfortable doing that, please send me a personal email, contact@coachrobb.com. I will get back to you personally. I respond to all emails. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I'd greatly appreciate it. It helps the algorithms more than you know. Please like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications because we do put out a video every day answering your questions. I want to thank you for your time today, and it's my hope that I see you again tomorrow.